King lands in Rome for historic visit to meet the Pope. Welcome back, royal enthusiasts, to Crown Chronicles, your one and only destination for royal news, royal secrets, and royal splendor. If you love hearing about the British monarchy's grand moments, hidden stories, and powerful symbolism behind every royal move, then you are in the perfect place. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned, because what we're about to unfold is one of the most significant moments of King Charles III's reign so far. This is not just another royal trip. This is history in motion. It was a crisp autumn morning when the British royal aircraft touched down at Rome's Fiumicino airport. The world's eyes were fixed on that one moment, King Charles III, stepping out with his characteristic composure, his presence marking the beginning of a truly historic visit. Cameras flashed, reporters whispered, and the crowd waited in reverent silence as the king descended the steps of the plane, ready to meet a man he has long admired, His Holiness, Pope Francis. The king's visit to the Vatican had been quietly in the making for months, a moment of diplomacy, faith, and shared values that would bridge the centuries-old gap between the British crown and the Catholic Church. The anticipation surrounding this visit wasn't just about formality or ceremony. It was about meaning, two leaders, both in their twilight years, uniting to discuss issues that transcend borders and faith. As the king's motorcade glided through the cobbled streets of Rome, onlookers waved the Union Jack alongside Vatican flags. It was a sight to behold, the British monarch traveling to the heart of Catholicism, something that not long ago would have been unimaginable. Historically, relations between the British Crown and the Vatican have been complicated, to say the least. Since the time of Henry VIII and the English Reformation, the Church of England and the Catholic Church have stood divided. But King Charles, known for his strong sense of unity, compassion, and environmental advocacy, has long sought to heal old divisions. Dressed in a tailored morning suit with his distinctive blue tie, the king arrived at the Apostolic Palace to a dignified yet warm welcome. The Vatican guard saluted as he stepped out, his face serene yet full of purpose. And there, waiting at the grand entrance, was Pope Francis himself, smiling warmly as he extended his hand. In that moment, two of the world's most respected spiritual figures stood face to face, one, the head of the world's oldest monarchy, the other, the leader of over 1 billion Catholics. As cameras captured their first handshake, you could feel the weight of history in the air. The king bowed his head slightly, a gesture of deep respect, while Pope Francis greeted him with open arms. The two men then disappeared into the ornate halls of the Vatican, where their private audience began. Though few details of their conversation were immediately released, insiders revealed that the discussion was heartfelt and far-reaching, touching on global peace, climate change, interfaith harmony, and humanitarian efforts. For King Charles, this meeting carried special significance. Long before his ascension to the throne, Charles had championed religious understanding and dialogue among faiths. As Prince of Wales, he had often spoken about the importance of unity among different religions and once famously stated that he wished to be known not only as defender of the faith, but as defender of faith, emphasizing inclusion, compassion, and respect for all beliefs. This meeting with the Pope symbolized that very vision in action. Sources close to Buckingham Palace suggested that the king also expressed gratitude for the Pope's consistent voice in environmental advocacy, an issue both leaders have passionately championed. The two are known for their deep concern about climate change and the urgent need to protect the planet for future generations. It is said that their conversation included shared ideas about sustainability, responsibility, and moral leadership in guiding humanity toward a greener and fairer world. As they exchanged gifts, another powerful image emerged. King Charles presented Pope Francis with a beautifully bound collection of botanical prints, a nod to their mutual love of nature. The Pope, in turn, gifted the king a handcrafted olive branch sculpture, symbolizing peace and reconciliation. Both men smiled warmly as photographers captured the moment, and in that smile, there was an unspoken acknowledgement: the world needs bridges, not walls. Outside, crowds gathered in St. Peter's Square, waving flags and cheering as word spread that the meeting had gone beautifully. The bells of the Vatican chimed softly as the king and the Pope shared a final blessing before parting ways. For a brief moment, the solemnity of faith and the elegance of monarchy felt perfectly intertwined. But beyond the ceremony and symbolism, there was also the deeply human side of this visit. King Charles has long admired Pope Francis for his humility and compassion. The Pope, despite his global influence, lives modestly and constantly advocates for the poor and marginalized. In many ways, Charles sees his own values reflected in the pontiff's life, a dedication to service, a belief in unity, and a responsibility to lead with conscience rather than power. Those close to the king say he left the meeting visibly moved, calling it one of the most spiritually meaningful encounters of his life. Later that afternoon, the king visited the British Embassy to the Holy See, where he met with diplomats and clergy members who have worked tirelessly to strengthen relations between the United Kingdom and the Vatican. In a brief statement to the press, he described his visit as a meeting of hearts and hopes, adding that our shared responsibility toward humanity and our planet unites us more than history ever could divide us. The world took notice. It was a moment of reconciliation, reflection, and renewal. As evening fell, the king attended a small reception at the British ambassador's residence overlooking the Eternal City. There, he spoke to guests about the deep sense of peace he felt after his meeting. Rome, he said softly, reminds us that civilizations rise not just through power, but through faith, art, and purpose. Today's meeting was a reminder that even the oldest institutions can find new ways to inspire hope. His words, modest yet profound, echoed through the room, a reflection of the monarch he has become, thoughtful, sincere, and aware of the responsibility he carries not just for Britain, but for humanity itself. As he boarded his flight back to London the next morning, royal reporters noted something subtle but powerful, a renewed energy in the king's demeanor. For a man who has spent his life preparing for this role, moments like these are not mere formalities, they are expressions of a lifelong mission. King Charles III's reign, though still in its early chapters, continues to be defined not by spectacle or ceremony, but by purpose. And this historic visit to Rome, this meeting with the Pope, may very well stand as one of the defining symbols of that purpose, a monarch striving to heal, unite, and inspire. The story of King Charles's visit to the Vatican isn't just about diplomacy or protocol. It's about something greater, two men, both with immense influence, using their platforms to remind the world of shared humanity. At a time when division often overshadows unity, their meeting in Rome became a beacon of hope, a reminder that dialogue and compassion can still bridge the deepest divides. As the royal plane lifted off, disappearing into the golden Roman sky, one couldn't help but feel that this visit had left a lasting mark, not just in history books, but in the hearts of those who believe in the power of faith, reconciliation, and leadership with purpose. And that is why this visit will be remembered not just as another royal engagement, but as a moment that defined the very essence of King Charles's reign, a monarch guided by duty, compassion, and a desire to unite a divided world. So, if you've been captivated by this story of faith and royal diplomacy, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Crown Chronicles, and join us again as we uncover more royal moments that shape history, inspire hope, and remind us all why the crown continues to fascinate the world.